Hey guys, my name is Alexandra Valentine and you're welcome to my YouTube channel. Here we'll post all things sewing tutorials, sewing hacks and whatnot. And if this is something you're interested in, kindly give this video a huge thumbs up and also hit on the subscribe button to join the family. For my returning subscribers, you're welcome once again. So I threw a poll a few days ago asking you guys what tutorial you want up next, and you guys voted this halter neck dress with side gathers. So in today's video we are going to be drafting the tutorial. Okay, so I've gone ahead now to draft out my basic bodies, that's my vertical measurement and my horizontal measurement, and also my armhole and shoulder slant. Okay, so that's just what I basically did. If you don't know how to go about this, or you're a total beginner who does not know anything about basic bodies, you can check my description box for the link to drafting a basic bodies. Okay, so after the horizontal lines and vertical lines, I'm going to be drawing out my neckline. You can see from the picture that it's a V neckline. So for the width it's going to be 3 inches, and then for the depth you can take it to, it depends on how deep you want it or how much cleavage you are willing to show. So I'm going to stop about 1 inch below the bust point. Okay, now let's just go ahead now to do our armhole curve, and to do that we are going to be marking our round bust measurement divided by 4 on the armhole horizontal line. So we'll just mark it there, then plus 2 inches for stitching allowance. I will then transfer that same measurement on the bust point line. Now back to the armhole. So remember, this is a halter neck, and in order for us to do this halter neck, now we'll have to mark 1 inch after the neck width. So we'll just mark it there, and then so we'll be coming up by 3 inches or 2.5 inch after the chest line, so that we'll be able to cover our cleavage properly when we are drawing our curve for the halter neck. Okay, so that point now I'm going to extend in a horizontal line. Okay, so the next thing now to do is to just use a curve ruler to connect from my armhole to meet that 1 inch on the shoulder area. Okay, so I wanted to highlight something. For the shoulder depth, I made use of 8 inches. My normal measurements that I normally use, I make use of 9 inches, but because this is more like a handless dress, I made use of 8 inches so that it covers the entire bust. Okay, now we can now go in with our round body measurement. Now we've marked our round bust measurement, right? Now it's now time to mark our round waist measurement. That's our round waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches for stitching allowance. Then we are just going to connect that to make the bust point in a straight line. After that, I'm also going to connect the original body measurement, those points. I'm also going to connect it in a straight line. The reason why I'm connecting it in a straight line too is because this dress or this pattern is going to be carrying a side dart effect. So it is on this original body measurement that that effect is going to take place. Now on this new line that I just draw out, I'm going to be coming down from the bust point line by 1 inch. Then I also come down from that 1 inch by 2 inches. Okay, then these 2 points that I've marked now, I'm going to be connecting them to make the bust point line. Okay, now to get our bust point line, I'll have to mark my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 3.5. Okay, I'm going to mark it at my bust point there, my under bust, and my waistline. So 7 inches divided by 2 is 3.5. That's what you just do. Just divide your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Whatever you have there, that's what you are going to impute. Okay, mark and connect them in a straight line. Now back to those points, I'm going to just connect the point I marked to the bust point now, and just in a straight line. Okay, until you touch that 2 inches allowance line. I don't know if that makes sense. Then the second point too, I'm also going to connect it to meet the bust point and also meet the last line. Okay, then I'm going to be marking my hip measurements, my round hip measurements. That's my round hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches for stitching allowance. Then I'm just going to connect it with my ruler to meet the waistline. Okay, then the rest is just going to be more like an A-line shape, like just freehand. Okay, next I will come down from the waistline by 2 inches, 1.5 inch, preferably 1.5 inch, so that we'll determine how where our gathers is going to be. Okay, then I'm just going to draw a horizontal line on that point. Then I'll also mark away my 2 inches for stitching allowance, reconnect it back to the waistline. Then from that point, I'm going to be connecting it to meet the hip line, like so, with my curve ruler. Okay, so you just use your curve ruler and connect it from that 2 inches. Okay, connect it to meet the hip line, and you want to also make sure that it's stopping at the dart leg, like it's going to stop at the dart leg. Okay, so the dart leg, remember that we stopped at the waistline, so just extend it as much as you can to meet the full length. Okay, so I'm just using my marker now to highlight the parts that I'll be cutting out so that it will be very visible. Okay, so all these parts that I'm highlighting with my marker, I'm going to cut them out. So after highlighting all the parts that I want to cut out, watch me how I'm cutting out the side that I'm just cutting out the down line. Okay, then I'm going to overlap it and just close it up, making the two lines to touch each other. Now once the dots are closed, you'll notice that there is a curviness around the bust area. Now the reason why we do side darts is to avoid zip bulging at the back, and since we are not cutting through the waist area, like there's no joining at the waist, so it's only convenient that we make use of a side dart. Okay, now you either use your pins to hold this down, or you use a masking tape to hold this down. Okay, so once you've closed the side dart like this, you notice that the up line has moved inside and the down pattern has moved outside. So we are just going to reconnect it to the waistline, the bust point and the waistline. We are just going to reconnect it like so. So by the time we are stitching, our fabric is not going to be shortened. So I will now go ahead now to cut out the pattern. So I'm cutting the side, then I'll cut the armhole, the neckline, and the shoulder area. I'll also go ahead to cut out this side for the gathers, where the gathers is going to come in. Now to draft out the back pattern, I've gone ahead to draw out my horizontal and vertical measurements, vertical lines rather. Okay, so the only differences between this back and front, because we've done a side dart for the front, automatically the waist at the back is going to reduce. Okay, so earlier I did not explain how we got the measurements for the side dart. So in my own case, I got 2 inches, and that's because my shoulder to waist in front is 16.5 inches, then my shoulder to waist at the back is 14.5 inches. So if you minus 16.5 minus 14.5, you will see that it's 2 inches. So that's how I got my 2 inches for my side dart. So if you just minus your shoulder to your waist in front minus your shoulder to your waist at the back, that's what is going to give you your side dart. Now coming to the front part, now you are going to impute your original waist measurement, that's your shoulder to your waist at the back, which is 14.5. So we are going to mark it exactly, not 16.5. Now any measurements coming down after the waist, you have to place your tape at the waist, then you start measuring it. Okay, so you place your tape and then mark your hip line, and also place your tape and mark your at the waist area and mark your full length. Okay, then we'll now go in with the body, round body measurement. That's our round bust divided by 4 plus 2 inches. Then on the waistline, our waist measurements divide by 4 plus 2 inches. Okay, then the same thing too on the hip line. Hip
So all
measurement
the points for the
divide
round
by
body
4
measurement
plus
that
2
I've marked, I'm
inches.
going to connect them in a straight line, okay, just like I did in front. So after the hip area is just going to flow down, not in any particular order or any particular measurement, okay. If you also observe, this is the back pattern that we are drafting, but it does not have any zipper allowance. That is because the pattern paper was not enough, but when I'm transferring the pattern to my fabric, I'm going to add that 2 inches for zip allowance. Now I've brought the front pattern paper on it and I'm trying to align it at the waist area. You can see that on the side there, it's actually up to. So here now I'm just trying to measure the shortage because we closed the dart, so this side came down, so we'll have to fill that up again. And this is me also retracing the cutouts that I have at the gather area there on the back pattern. And again, just like I did in front, I'm using my marker to highlight the points that I'll be cutting out. So let's not forget that this is a halter neck that has a rope at the back. So that means there is an opening at the back area. So I'm just going to square that up at the armhole area so that the armhole of both the front and the back is going to be in unison. Okay, so I'll just continue highlighting all the points that I will be cutting out. So that's just all for the back. I will just go ahead now to cut through the gather area where the gather is going to come in, cut through the sides and cut at the top area. That's basically it. No too much anything. Then we'll transfer all our pattern papers to our fabric. So to transfer this pattern paper to our fabric, I'll have to open up this side dart. Then I'm going to cut out this excess that I left here earlier. So this is our fabric for the back. You can see I have added 2 inches for stitching allowance. I also added half of an inch at the top area and around the gather area as well, but on the side I did not add anything. Okay, you can also notice that I increased the fabric for the length. Okay, so this is just me putting my waist measurement where it's supposed to be and then marking my full length. Okay, because the pattern paper was not all that long to get to my full length. Okay, so I've done just that and this is what it's looking like. So let's move over to the front pattern and the rest of the remaining patterns. For the front part now, I just added half inch at the neck area, the shoulder, the armhole, and on this side dart. Okay, but I did not add on the sides. I did not add any inch on the sides, but I added half of an inch at the gather area. Remember when I was talking about this covering up this armhole so that it balances with the back? Yeah, I just increased it. If you notice at the edge there is quite bigger than the rest of the half inch. Okay, so I just increased that area and also increased the length of this dress because my pattern paper was not long enough. Now for the side, I'm going to be cutting both the front and the back sides at the same time because it's literally the same shape. Okay, the same pattern shape. So I'm just going to fold my fabric on a fold of 2 for each side. Okay, that's on a fold of 4 if you want to cut the 2 sides together. So what I just did was to increase the length and also cut just the edge to follow the curve of the pattern paper. Okay, for the length you have to make sure that the side is at least longer than the actual length of the dress, so that you'll be able to trim it off if need be. Okay, to confirm what I said earlier, you can see that this fabric is on a fold of 4. Okay, because I'm cutting the 2 sides at the same time. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so that's just all for the drafting and cutting of this dress. So in our next tutorial video we are going to go about sewing. I did not want to make this video longer than it already is. Okay, so stick around and wait for part 2, and don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up and also hit on the subscribe button to join the family. Bye.